What's up, everyone? I know it's been a long time since I've posted on here. For that, I do sincerely apologize, and I'm back to it now, hoping for more consistency, aiming for more consistency, and that's exactly my goal. My goal now is I'm going to try to hopefully do Monday through Friday, kind of be consistent with what a normal workload, a normal schedule would be. So that's going to be my goal here moving forward. And my hope, honestly, is that everything here on my end is working fine. We'll know perhaps by the end of the day. This is going to count for Thursday's upload because it's late that I'm filming this. I apologize. I wanted to see how the rest of the games were going to go. So you can tell by the title, we're going to react to right now what is happening in World Cup qualifying for Team USA, who maybe this year will be bothered to go to the World Cup. Maybe. That's what we're going to talk about today. Just very briefly. But before we get into that, I'd like for you, if you could, please subscribe, like, leave a comment, and feel free to reach out to me as well with perhaps further ideas, and we will go from there. So, as this evening's games have wrapped up, proceedings have wrapped up, and right now, Team USA sits second in World Cup qualifying in the CONCACAF group. The top three will go to Qatar for next year's World Cup. The fourth will go into a playoff with a team likely to be New Zealand, but we'll know, I believe, in March who that's going to be, and if the U.S. is even going to play in that. Right now, could perhaps be Panama. Mexico could play in that perhaps, but we're going to keep the focus on the United States. The U.S. team, I believe, officially would go to the World Cup with 4 points. Probably 3 would be okay as well. But there's a certain threat right now that they face. First off, it's honestly just because you don't really know what they'd do if they get there. Some days it looks like, they'd be a real dark horse if they did qualify. But then other days it looks like a team that would probably just take 3 losses and then go home. They're all over the map. But it's the most talented U.S. team in probably ever. They're going to get wasted, perhaps, by a coach that maybe hasn't figured it out yet. Coach Greg Berhalter, he's a former national team player, and I believe year 3 now of his managerial reign for the national team, his tenure, and he still doesn't appear to know what his best 11 is, or what his best 23 is at this point. And at this level, at this stage, that's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable to not know who your best players are and what position to play them in. Too much loyalty to guys who are inconsistent at best in the MLS, let alone guys who are fighting for it, guys who are consistent in European leagues and who are playing well and great form and deserve it, because this isn't about showcasing your league, it's about winning games. It's about winning games and putting on for the country itself. So this U.S. team, I think, could very well qualify, probably will, and hopefully will. Because the debacle that was endured, for lack of a better term, in late 2017 is unacceptable. It's just unacceptable for a country this size, for a country who has this kind of sporting pedigree and this many resources. It's unacceptable to think that this country just can't get it right. But now we have to look big picture. What were we doing before this debacle that happened last qualifying cycle? Talking about, don't just get to the World Cup, win when you're there. Why can't we put a team together that goes all the way? It's because soccer, hasn't been our bread and butter sport for 100 years like other nations. That doesn't seem like a credible excuse to me. You have all the resources, all the money, but yet it gets wasted time in and time out. But that's a different discussion. We're talking about the national team today. We're talking about the national team today when you guys that are starting in the Champions League who barely get a game over guys who have had time, guys who have had chances, who have had opportunities, but squandered them largely. So you tell me what the end game is here. What's the end game? Is the end game to promote your league or to win a World Cup one day? Because you have players that sure are good for your league, they're beneficial for your league, but you have players that can help you get to that next level. And Greg Berhalter doesn't seem to really rationalize that. Doesn't really seem to get a good grasp of that. And that's just not acceptable for this point. So right now, this is where we are. It's a good team that the road to the World Cup is not exactly completely clear yet. Got to go to Mexico and to Costa Rica with a Panama game in Orlando sandwiched in between. But we have to think big picture. Are we going forward as a team? And unfortunately, you have to feel as though this talented generation could get wasted if this federation and if this coaching staff doesn't figure it out. So I guess if we react to tonight's game specifically, against a Honduras team that's already been eliminated, they had nothing to play for. It was a good performance, I thought. It got better, a lot better in the second half. But it needs to get better. We cannot have what we had against Canada. Completely run off the field. Or maybe that's a stretch. Maybe that's an exaggeration, and I apologize for that. But we were outplayed. We were outcoached. Massively. When you lose by 2 goals to a team that didn't even have their best player on the pitch, you were outplayed, you were outcoached, you were outfought. It's that simple. But all that in the rearview mirror. It comes down to these next 3 games in March. You probably only need 4 points, probably only need 3 depending on what happens. After Panama lost to Mexico a little bit ago. But this is the story for the US men. It's always up and down. It's always inconsistent. We know who they can beat. But can you beat the good teams consistently? Can they do this time and time again? We know they can beat a team like Honduras. We know they can beat El Salvador. They had a very nice win against Mexico. But when do we close the gap on everybody else? In theory, it's happened. To some degree, it's happened. But when do we take that next step to being elite? And you have to get out the inconsistency. And that starts with a coach figuring out who his best players are, what his best system is, because the time to experiment is gone. The World Cup itself is in about 10 months. We can't keep trying things out and testing things out. It's not acceptable to do that anymore. However, for all the negativity, they still have a great chance of getting there, and who knows what's going to happen if and when they do. We need to first get the job done. Not my best stuff necessarily, but I really do want to take this forward and keep on going here. And so be prepared for tomorrow, Friday, and we'll start the new week on Monday and hopefully keep things rolling. So again, please like, comment, subscribe. This helps me out considerably. Please share. That helps out a lot more as I'm trying to get my work out there for people to see and to hear, and hopefully make some sort of difference for people. So hopefully maybe even a lighter hearted video in the days ahead. But for now, please stay safe. Please continue to look after one another. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you.